how's it going? I've got several things I want to work on today. I don't know if the weather is going to cooperate or for how long it's going to cooperate. It's looking a little ominous in the distance, and it's supposed to start storming later, like thunderstorms. So I'm going to try to move through as many of these things as possible. There are, I think, 5 things I want to get done today. We are going to put them up on the screen with time signatures just in case something interests you more than another. You can skip forward to that part of the video if you want. First thing I want to do is trim these panicle hydrangea trees. These are pinky winkies and they're gorgeous. I told you earlier on that I would show you how I prune them, so that's what we're going to do. Then I have a boxwood cone I just trimmed up in another video. I want to dig up and move to another part of the garden. There's a euphorbia I want to transplant from one pot to another pot. Let's see. Oh, I brought some really pretty plants home from the garden center that I wanted to just kind of do a mini plant haul and then get those in the ground. So we'll see how much of that I can get done. Let's start with the tree. So there's one of the hydrangea trees, and then there's one on that side as well. I just planted these last year and they're gorgeous, you guys. Look at how big the blooms are. Like, let me put my hand up next to it. Like, huge panicles that start off white and then they get really pink, just beautiful. And they put on a ton of growth every single year. So you can see, like, from here, all of this was last year's growth, and we really want to keep this tree in proportion with the height of the trunk. And you can see like how short that is versus how huge that canopy is, and I really want to keep these in check anyways because I want them to stay ornamental, like very ornamental and very small-ish back here. So pinky winkies are a type of paniculata hydrangea, one of the easiest types to take care of. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do wrong with these type, which is something I like about them. They bloom on new wood, so early spring is a good time to cut them back when the buds start to emerge. And when you can see those little green buds, it's a good time to go in and prune because you can see exactly where any winter damage happened and you can get rid of any branches that are dead. So I just want to get in there and clean these up. It's going to look fairly severe because I will be taking these down quite far, but it really will give the plant a whole lot more energy to put on a big show this year. So let me get close and show you what the buds look like. See right there? See that little light green starting to emerge? That means this branch is alive and well. I do want to take them back. Usually the rule of thumb is about 1/3 of the total height, which means I'm going to come in about here and cut them back all the way. And I'm also going to be getting rid of any like wimpy branches like this right here, because I don't want this plant sending energy into creating a bloom on that wimp of a branch. I want them to send energy into these nice big stocky branches. So I'll show you a couple of the cuts up close, and then I'm just going to set the camera up and get the chore done. So you can see if we follow down from the bloom, the set of buds right here. So this is what we call a node. We want to cut right above a node. So check this out. See how I just left a little bit on top, and all of these buds will form new branches and will form new blooms. So I'm just going to continue doing that, and I'm going to make sure to have a nice shape in the end. Like, I want it to be slightly higher in the middle, slightly shorter on the outside, so it kind of creates a nice sphere. And here's the after shot. They look much better, I think, much more in proportion to the trunk size. The other one I'm really encouraged by, because when I planted these, it was really, really hot out. This one suffered a little bit, and it was much weaker. Like, it had much weaker stems, but there was hardly any broken stems, and there wasn't, I mean, this one has maybe a little bit smaller branches on it, but I'm encouraged because there was very little death. I didn't have to remove maybe like a couple tiny little branches that were actually dead. And I think it's got a really nice shape. So I'm really encouraged, and I cannot wait to see these bloom again. That was about a 5-minute project. I love garden chores like that. My next one is going to take me a little bit longer. Let me show you the boxwood we're going to be transplanting. So this is a mature boxwood that's been here for longer than we've been in this house. So there is some risk. When you dig up a plant that's been there for a while, there's a risk that it may not take wherever you end up putting it. But I want to give it a chance because it is a nice boxwood. And I'm very hopeful, because if you guys remember that huge boxwood that we replanted, maybe the first or second year we were here, is still alive. In fact, it's right in front of me. This huge guy was up in one of our front flower beds, and when we dug it out, I actually didn't have any intention on keeping it, so we weren't careful about getting lots of roots. So it had a very small, tiny little root ball, and we put it in this pot, and it has lived here through the winters, through all kinds of weather, and it's still living, putting on new growth. It's a little messy right now. I haven't cleaned it up since winter. But yeah, I think we'll do okay. And working on transplant projects in spring is a good idea if you need to move plants around, because the temperatures are so cool. A lot of plants are just breaking dormancy. So if you can get them moved before, you know, full-on growing season, it's much less shock to the plant system to do it now. So let's go look around the garden. So we're in the front garden right now, and I'm thinking maybe it would look good right in there. There's nothing really growing there. We've got some lilies, climbing roses that kind of ramble on the fence. This is a Centara double blue lilac that's super budded up. Check this out. Look at that. And it's just got buds all over it. It's gonna be beautiful. But it might look nice to have something evergreen in here for some weight, but not anything that gets too tall, so you can still see over the fence and see the new area that we will be working on later. And it is looking a little rough right now. You can see drip tubing. Everything's still like fairly dormant. So we need to do some mulching, give it a little time, and this whole area, it actually like springs to life. It doesn't look like I have hardly any plants in here, but I actually do. And this right here is another option, because we just had our AC unit moved over here. This is a yellow David Austin climbing rose. I can't remember what kind. How come I cannot remember? I just planted it last year. Anyway, it might be nice to have a small evergreen that's not going to get in anybody's way if they need to come back here and work on it, but it'll be just tall enough to maybe cover that. That might be a really good option. And the other area it might look good is just right in here. That would be really pretty, just to kind of tuck it in there. I did plant a viburnum right here last year. Oh, it still has its tag. It's a wabi sabi. Look at that. Isn't that going to be glorious when it blooms? Low growing, 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. So that's really not going to get a whole lot bigger than that, maybe a little taller. But if I put the boxwood in here, that might be a nice evergreen weight. And since it's kind of shrouded by this huge lilac, it does get shade until late in the day, where the sun kind of comes in right here. And boxwoods can take both sun or shade, so that's a really good option as well. All right, well, I guess I'm just gonna start with digging it out, and then we'll kind of move it around. I think that helps out quite a bit. It does for me anyway. Just seeing kind of a blank slate here, just kind of wiping that clean makes it a little easier for me to envision what to do. The only thing I have left in this bed that I may just leave, or I might dig up and put somewhere else, are all of these variegated iris. And there's also a Heuchera and a couple of hostas over here. We just had an ash tree removed from this corner last fall, so I'm gonna probably have to move those shade-loving plants somewhere else and kind of retool this whole area. But in the meantime, let me show you this boxwood. So there it is, looking cute, and we've got quite a nice root ball. Oh yeah, I think that that's gonna look really pretty right there. Of course, it'll be about 1.5 feet lower once I get it planted. And I'm kind of hoping that these two, I think it'll be beautiful with the white blooms and then the evergreen structure. And then I can fill in with some small annuals or perennials, something that won't get in the way of the irrigation boxes too much, but I'll still have that evergreen interest there. Quick break in the chores, but I think we may have some really fun concrete that just arrived. I hope. We'll see what it is. It also sounds like our neighbor has his chainsaw out working on something over there. I love those sounds in the spring when people are just getting going and getting projects done. What do we got? Oh, are these the arbors?
No, it's a desk.
It's not concrete. Dang it. I was so excited. It's actually a desk we ordered for inside the house. Not as excited about that. All right, so there it is, and I think that this is the perfect spot for it, because you'd be hard pressed to find a plant that can deal with shade from all of these trees for most of the day and then receive brutal sun in the afternoon. It'll probably actually help this viburnum right here and kind of shield it a tiny bit from that brutal sun. But this whole area is a little bit of a blank slate. So we have a boxwood hedge forming right here. There's a hedge of incredible hydrangeas right behind it, and then all those white tulips. We planted this red point maple last year, and there's also a row of lavender here. So this whole area I get to fill in. I probably won't fill the whole thing in this year. I might just do some annuals for the time being, but it'll be a really fun spot, I think. I'm gonna have to be a little careful because I can't shroud this stuff. We have to be able to get to it. But when I planted this boxwood, I put a little biotone starter fertilizer at the bottom of the hole, and then a little bit of water, and then introduced the root ball to that nice moist kind of home, and then packed it in as good as I could with soil, and then added a layer of mulch. So if you can kind of imagine this whole area all topped off with this dark rich mulch, it's gonna look really pretty and tidy, which that's something we're gonna hopefully get to in the next week or so. I am noticing that maybe it's not quite straight. So as soon as the water drains a little bit more, I'm gonna go in and just kind of tamp on the root ball with my foot, like on the left side, just to kind of straighten it up a little bit. And we'll just be keeping it nice and moist this year until it establishes itself. I find myself in this position quite a lot. So you might have a flower bed that looks awesome for several years, and then something starts to fizzle out, or something gets too big, or your style's evolving and you want to change things around, and you've got mature plants in that bed that still look good and you still want to use them somewhere. You totally can do it. Most of the time it's okay. There is some risk involved. You know, you might risk losing the plant, but I have a strong philosophy that if you don't like something in your garden and you want to change it, just do it. Change it, love the spaces that you have. And I think that this is gonna be beautiful here. I'm gonna redo the whole area around the gazebo, hopefully to where it's something that Aaron and I both really like the look of. But you know, if you just kind of follow the right process, you know, do it in early spring when the temperatures are cool so that your plant isn't super shocked, you know, with heat. And then make sure to give it starter fertilizer, keep it moist that whole first year especially. Most of the time I have really good luck with that. So that was the second chore. Now we're gonna go repot some euphorbia. So this is where the euphorbia is. It's right there. You might remember this little trio of galvanized containers. I planted these up late summer, just kind of for late summer fall interest. And then I recently potted these strawberries in this galvanized tub right here. So the whole goal is to dig this euphorbia out and put it in its own container. The rest of these things were all kind of annuals in our area, so I'm gonna get rid of those. I'm also going to pot this as like I think it's a wildberry Heuchera, out into its own pot as well. The sun is actually trying to peek through a little bit. I had to stop there for about 5 minutes because it started to rain. And I think that's just how today's gonna go, kind of just on and off for the afternoon. So I'm gonna take this euphorbia out and see how it looks by itself in this pot. I do have one other one in the greenhouse in another container that I really do need to get out on its own as well. So it's possible I might pop these two together in this terracotta pot. So we'll just have to see how it goes. So there's the area all cleaned up. I think it looks way better. I went ahead and removed the galvanized container that had all of the other stuff in it that the euphorbia came out of. There's the strawberries. This container is staying because there's no way I could move this. It's heavy all by itself with nothing in it. So I need to figure out what I want to plant in there this year. And there's the euphorbia, and it fit in this terracotta pot perfectly. It actually looks really pretty next to the pink pansies because of the pink new growth right on top. And this is a really interesting plant, you guys. It's actually a zone 6 through 9, and it survived our winter this year. We had a very mild winter, so I was really excited to see some of these tender perennials in my area come back. It actually looked really pretty all winter, but it grows about 20 inches tall and 20 inches wide, and it blooms in the summertime, has green blooms that kind of turn pink as they age. You also want to be really careful when you're working with euphorbia, because if you cut the branches or the leaves, they ooze a white sap that's really irritating to skin. It can cause a rash. I actually got some euphorbia sap on my face once, and I had a huge blistery rash on my face. It was not good. So you want to make sure to wear long sleeves, gloves. It doesn't keep me from growing them because I really love how they look, and you know, they don't take very much maintenance at all, so I don't find myself needing to trim on them very often, and they're usually just in a container. I'm not like getting into them in flower beds or anything like that. So anyway, I'm really happy with how this project came out. So now the last thing I want to do, I'm going to head into the greenhouse and I'll show you all the plants I brought home. Alright, so the next portion of this video is going to be plant haul. I want to show you all the pretty things I brought home from the garden center recently. First of all though, I want to show you my new kneeling pad. Check this out. It's a nice big one. It's 15 inches by 20 inches and nice and thick. Here's the tag right here. It's just called the Pad from Earth Edge. I lost my other kneeling pad, like my favorite kneeling pad ever. It was made by Tommy Co., who stopped making this particular type of kneeling pad, and it was like really big, bright red, so it was really hard to lose in the garden. Like I could spot it from a mile away. Aaron and I recently did a garden project at his parents' house, and when we were all done, I tossed it into the back of the truck with the rest of my tools, not thinking it was too lightweight and it was gonna fly out of the truck. So I think that's what happened. I think it flew out of the truck and somebody, like it's either laying on the side of the road or somebody picked it up, and they're a very lucky person whoever ended up with that kneeling pad because it was awesome. But so far I'm liking this one. It's really, really comfy. Okay, so let's start with this flat right here. These are Western sword ferns. Put it really close so you can see. But these are hardy to -10, and they get pretty big, 24 to 30 inches by 24 inch wide. Let that focus so you guys can pause if you want to. Here's the front of the tag. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of them total. I would have taken the whole flat if I could have. But I've got an area behind a boxwood hedge where I planted foxgloves last year. And the foxgloves did really great, but they are a biennial, and I'm not sure how well all of them are going to come back this year. It was a pretty shaded spot. I think the foxgloves would have done better with a little more light, so I thought I would kind of space these out in that area and kind of let these start to fill in case those foxgloves start to like kind of phase out. So I think this is going to be a really pretty texture back there. The next thing I bought are 5 dill plants. Really pretty ferny looking herb. These are a zone 10, so they're not very, like they're only hardy to 30 to 40 degrees. So I'm actually gonna keep these in the greenhouse for the next week because we do have one night that's high 30s. All the other ones are staying in the 40s at this point, but this grows 3 to 4 feet tall and 1 foot wide. And I'm actually not gonna grow these in the garden this year. I thought it would be fun to kind of space them all out in one of my flower beds and let them be just a really pretty foliage texture to kind of play alongside some of my perennials, and then I could harvest them and use them either for flower arrangements and for cooking as well. I got some Swiss Ricola mint. This is the best mint ever. If you can get your hands on this mint, you will love it. Here is the name right there. Write it down, and there's the info on it. So this one grows 2 by 2, which is false. It will grow bigger than that. You guys know about mints and how vigorous they are. So I got 3 of these, and I will be planting them all together in the same pot. Probably like a large galvanized tub. Whoops. I've got one like that's this big. I don't know what the diameter of it is, but I'll put 3 of these in here. They will fill that in this year, and then I'm going to try to remember to bring it into the greenhouse so that they winter over really well. They're hardy though. Yeah, they're a zone 3, hardy to -40, so even if I don't bring them in, they should survive even in a container. This is just one of the best mints. It's the most fragrant to me. Like, I don't even need to touch it to smell it. I can just, like, I can smell it in the air before I ever even get kind of close to it. And I like to steep it with tea and then add in some lemonade. We call it ditch water, so it's like a mixture of mint, tea, and lemonade. Yeah, it's just a super yummy, like summery drink. Really good for mojitos and things like that. So I always like to have some of these around. Next up are Foxglove, and these are just little 4-inch guys. I did get 9 of these, which I was excited. These are pure white Foxglove. These are gonna go in a different spot than the other ones where the ferns are, but these grow 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide with those beautiful white, like trumpet shaped blooms. So what they call them? Bell shaped blooms. Whatever, kind of trumpet-esque. They're so pretty though, and I like any flower that blooms on a stalk like that. Delphiniums, larkspur, snapdragons, anything like that. I just love them. These are pokey. You have to be careful. The ends of these leaves. So this is a variegated Spanish dagger yucca. Look at it from kind of like a side view. Isn't that beautiful? It looks like an agave or mangave. It's got that really stiff upright structure. The ends are very sharp, so I'm gonna try to put these in pots that are up like higher than Benjamin is, because this will poke him if he gets close to it. So I'm thinking taller urns, either that or I'll have to be diligent about snipping off the ends, which I actually did that at the garden center when we carried plants like this, especially in our sunroom. I always like just cut off just the sharpest of the tip part because I didn't want it to poke any little kids. So anyway, this is a zone 7, so it's only hardy to 0, which means I cannot leave this outside during the winter. So it might be a case where I plant them up in containers. I might not plant these today because I didn't really think it through. When I saw these, I just had to have them. But I don't know if I've got a pair of pots I really want to put them in yet. But I might put these in pots and put them on a couple of pillars outside somewhere. But they're really drought tolerant and they can take full-on sun. So they're really great to have out in the garden because you don't have to do much to them. But I can probably winter these over either out in the greenhouse or at a sun porch, or even bring them inside all the way. So anyway, I was super excited to find these. And then the last thing is Agapanthus. To show you the leaves there, they've got really pretty soft, kind of like when they're all full and like mature, they look like really moppy, like a mop shaped texture. Really soft grass, and then they have these gorgeous blue blooms that come up I think like midsummer. I don't know a ton about this plant, you guys, because they are a zone 8 through 11, but I was reading a gardening book last night and I got so inspired right before bed that I laid in bed for like a couple of hours thinking about all the plants I wanted to go get and how I needed to grow Agapanthus, even though I knew it wasn't going to survive. So I bought 5 of these. I'm going to put them in a flower bed and I'm going to try to remember to lift them in the fall and store them and see how that goes. So anyway, that is my plant haul. So we're going to head out into the garden and start planting. So this is the first area right here. So we're by the back sun porch. So right behind this boxwood hedge, I planted a bunch of foxglove, and you can see some. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that came back, it looks like, so far. I don't see any growth on the others. But given that they didn't get very much sunshine back here, I think that 7 is pretty good. So this is where all the ferns are gonna go. And won't that be beautiful to have them just fill in that area? And they'll be right below this beautiful Katsura Japanese maple. Gorgeous tree with beautiful colored new growth, and then that color comes back in the fall, just gorgeous. I really need to work on getting my labels made so I don't have tags hanging from all of my plants. But I love how this anchors the corner over here. All right, so I'm just gonna space out my ferns and get them all planted. All right, guys, check this out. Didn't it turn out so pretty? So much better than the way it looked before. I got it all cleaned up, raked out, and then I got the ferns planted, and you can see that I've got them kind of, I just dotted them around, and I am working with the existing foxgloves, but I tried to space the ferns to where they would be fairly even coverage in the end, and if the foxgloves happen to make it up through them, then that's great. If they don't, they don't. The only area where I might have to add one more fern is kind of like right in here, because there is a foxglove there and some ferns surrounding it. But if that foxglove doesn't take, which it may, so I may not have to, but if it doesn't, I'll have to pop a fern right in the center there. But I think that's gonna be a gorgeous look when those all grow and fill in and they just make this soft, billowy kind of mass back here, and it'll look like it's holding this Japanese maple up, which I think will be wonderful. I also cleaned all of the junk out from in front of the boxwoods and even mulched up front. How dare you? And if you want to see a really stark difference, pre-mulch versus post-mulch. Way better. All right, I've got these little guys left. All right, so we're up in Versailles now, and I'm gonna plant the delphiniums. So this is where I planted them last year, and you can see this one sad little delphinium that's coming back. I actually had to put a stick here because I kept wanting to step on it when I was cleaning this area out. So I already came through and fertilized this one. So I'm just gonna put the other ones, I think I have 5 on my cart, just kind of in this area. And let me explain what's in here because I think it's gonna be so pretty. We have a spruce there. I've got 3 Queen of Sweden David Austin roses that kind of make an arc around the spruce. Then I'll have this nice drift of the green wheel delphiniums. And then I have 3 storm cloud amsonias right there that bloom a really pretty blue. So we'll have blue blooms, kind of a light chartreuse, creamy colored bloom, and pink blooms. And then I do have other things. There's some oak leaf hydrangeas and a blood good Japanese maple. I don't know, this area is starting to shape up. We just created this area when we put the boxwoods in. It'll be 2 years, let's see. Yeah, this will be its second season. Is it yeah, it's second full season. So anyway, I'm gonna plant. So there they are. I think this is gonna make a really nice drift because they'll be taller than the Amsonia. They'll eventually be shorter than the spruce when it starts to grow, but I don't expect tremendously fast growth out of the spruce. That's why I'm planting things kind of close. And then I know, like in future years, I'll probably have to move some stuff away from it because it does want to get 8 feet wide, but it'll be a while before it gets there. All right, so I just have lupins, agapanthus, foxglove, and mint left. I'm in the area behind the gazebo, sort of, behind the tool shed. I'm standing on the pellet walkway, and I'm gonna plant the white foxglove right in here. I've got some hydrangeas in here and a Japanese maple. The foxglove grow 3 by 2, so 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide, and I think they'll make a nice drift right in here. Foxglove are done. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a really sweet little drift, I think. So we'll just have to see how the hydrangeas do. I think that these are spaced really nicely away from that hydrangea. I think these are as well. Like if you get back, you can see. But we'll just have to wait and see. I might have to bump a couple of them back a little bit. But right now they look really sweet. So foxglove are right there, and now I think I'm gonna tuck the lupins in right here. All right, well, we're kind of back at the beginning here where we planted the boxwood, and this is where I decided to put the agapanthus because I think it'll be a really nice soft texture to kind of gracefully, hopefully grow over the boxes, at least these two, and then I'll come in with some kind of a drift of something else right in front. But I think that'll be a really nice texture, especially when it throws up its blooms. It'll kind of maybe distract you from looking at the hose right there, which is something I can't get away from. I mean, this is a frost free and this is where our well pump is. So this, like, you know, I can't move it. That has to stay there. So anyway, we'll get these planted and see how it looks. Oh my goodness, you guys, I love these agapanthus right here. Do you feel like I should get more? Because there will be the incredible, the 6th one I'm gonna plant right here. There are 5 there, but there's nothing in between there. So I thought if I did something big and maybe that has red foliage and then continued these on and maybe planted some roses in here. I don't know. Lots of possibilities, but boy, that looks so fresh and pretty. And again, these will grow about 28 to 32 inches tall and about 2 feet wide. So I think they'll really fill in this area nicely. So I'm gonna plant the mint really quick, actually right in front of me. I'll show you in a second, but can you see the sky behind me? I can hear the thunder and the storm is getting close. So I'm gonna get this done and I'm gonna be done for the day. So this is where the mint is gonna go, right next to the euphorbia. It's perfect because this gets really warm afternoon sun, which is what the mint will prefer. So I need to go grab some potting soil and then I'll get those planted quick. What are you doing? Dirt. Oh, that's you. Oh, I love you. All right, there's the mint. Planted 3 in that one container. I just put in some of the potting mix here. This is the Espoma Organic, and that's what I use for the euphorbia as well. So I think that'll be actually kind of a sweet little trio right there. What do you think of the storm, Russell? It's coming. Well, that ended up being a really full afternoon of projects, and I could have probably made this into several different videos, but I just wanted to work through these things and get them done. I was hoping to get the 2 extra roses I have out by the greenhouse planted, but with this storm coming in, I just kind of want to wrap it up and get all my stuff cleaned and put away for the evening. So I'd love to know if you guys like to see all the projects that are going to happen in each video with the time signatures, if that's helpful for you guys to kind of skip around and like not watch the things that you're not interested in, watch the things that you are. are. I don't know, we thought it would be kind of cool to try that out, especially since I was doing so many different like kind of random things today. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. We will see you in the next one. Bye.